Welcome to today's executive call with Code Ninjas. My name is Marty Flanagan. I am the Vice President of Franchise Development with Code Ninjas. And we also have David Graham, the CEO of Code Ninjas, with us today as well. So why do we do these calls? Well, first off, we want to be sure that you have all the opportunity to learn about Code Ninjas. We set up these learning channels. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend a little bit with us to learn more about us. And these learning channels, like today's call, one-on-one conversations that you can have with myself or Jeff Thames in terms of the franchise development side of what we're doing. You know, these are opportunities for you to engage with us, to hear more about us, to hear from our CEO, and to really get to know who we are and the direction we're going, and a lot more about who Code Ninjas is and what our plan is and our vision is for our company and being a franchise. So today's call is structured like this. We're going to talk a little bit about our performance review. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of the team. You're going to hear from David Graham, and we have also a question and answer section. So, and that Q&A is going to be at the end, and all you need to do is hit *6. So as we go through all these points today, please take notes. This will be an opportunity for you to ask questions directly to myself and the CEO of the company. And we love being peppered with questions. We love it when we have our last call was like a record breaker. We had almost an hour of the Q&A. You know, we set this time aside for you, just like you set aside for us, and we want to be able to answer your questions as best we possibly can and go in detail where we can. So as we kind of work through, like I said, the agenda, performance review. Obviously, Code Ninjas has grown very fast over the past 90 days. Really, since the beginning of the year is fast, but our growth in terms of the last 90 days has been astounding and has been validating for us as a franchise that we are on the right track and that our curriculum and what we're offering has been completely validated by so many very bright, very talented franchisees that have now joined our team. We realize in how we are moving forward that we're in a stage that's not meant for everybody. We attract a certain group of entrepreneurs that are interested and are excited about the stage that we're in. We hope that you are in that group of entrepreneurs that see this stage and are excited to jump on board with us. With having more than 20 franchisees now and having more than, getting close to that 50 marker of franchise territory secured, we feel very confident and comfortable with how we're moving forward, but always know we can get better and look forward to hearing our feedback from our franchisees. The history of our team, just real quick before I introduce David Graham, this team has been working together in a variety of different ways for anywhere from 5 years up to 13 years. So we're not new to working together. We have a history in franchising of more than 25 years. We have a history of teaching code, and which I'll get into that a little bit before I introduce David Graham. And we have over 20 years, almost 25 years plus history of just programming and development. So we are very familiar with the technology space. David Graham and the franchising space. David Graham, the CEO, the mastermind behind Code Ninja, the guy who came up with this brilliant idea and put it all together and spent thousands of his hours of really building this concept, has been a programmer for more than 25 years. He himself started a company called Coder Camps, which taught adults how to code, and he operated that company for about 5 years in about 18 different cities. So very familiar with teaching adults how to code that had no experience, bringing them into the workforce in this area of coding and development, and had a 93% placement rate with that company, which is extremely high, which is incredible, which is something that he is very proud of and he should be. When it comes to why David Graham chose to go into franchising versus doing what he did with Coder Camps. Why go into franchising? Well, one of it's going to be because David Graham left the programming field for a little while, about 9 years ago, and bought into a fitness franchise, and which he didn't really know anything about. So experiencing that success and teaming up with the right franchise never really left him. It stayed with him, and he really enjoyed that time in his life where he really didn't have a lot of experience in that industry, teaming up with the right franchise and then experiencing that success. So it was a natural fit and for him to take Code Ninjas into a franchise. The opportunity of collaborating with individuals and entrepreneurs from all over the country and having the start that we have had really shows that you're going to be able to team up with a lot of great individuals that are going to be in the same situation, same life that you're in right now in terms of starting your Code Ninja. So that collaboration, that teamwork with like-minded entrepreneurs is really hard to put a monetary value onto. So those are the kind of our basic perimeters. What I'd like to do now is have David Graham come in and talk a little bit more about our curriculum. We have a proprietary blend of curriculum. He'll talk a little bit how he has structured that, how we have structured that, and how we're moving forward. So, David?
Thanks, Marty. Before I get into the details of our curriculum and our program, I wanted to tell you guys that I really appreciate everybody that contributed to our Harvey Relief Fund. Over the last week, we were able to raise about $3,600. It's going to really help some families. As an organization, Code Ninjas decided to go ahead and double whatever we were able to raise. So it looks like we're going to hit around $7,200 that are going to be really put to great use to local families and businesses that were just destroyed in this recent hurricane. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Florida right now, as we have some franchisees down there that we're trying to take care of. And once you join our family, we're all hands on deck when an emergency happens or something when you need something. So be sure you think about them now as Irma goes up to Florida. But to wrap back around to Code Ninjas, as Marty said, we started this idea after a successful exit from coder camps. We took coder camps as far as we thought we could go, and it was very, very successful. But as we were doing that, there wasn't a week that went by that we didn't have a teacher, a parent, or somebody that came up to us and said, hey, is this available for kids? Because my son just sits around and plays on his tablet. All he does is do Roblox. He's super into Minecraft, but I want to put this to good use. I want to put this screen time to something productive that he's going to be able to, do something with one day. And so we considered it while we were doing coder camps, and we just didn't think it was a right fit through at the time because we were working on a very fast-paced adult curriculum. We were just focusing on what we could be great at. So as soon as we were done over there, it was kind of a natural transition to go into Code Ninjas. We didn't know exactly what we were going to call it or how things were going to happen, but we knew we wanted to teach some kids how to code. And so what we did was we sat down with dozens of kids in different environments and said, would it be cool if you just learned how to code? Yeah, that'd be kind of neat. About 50% of them or something said that. What if you could play video games and learn how to code? Well, that's really cool. About 75% of them. What if you could build your own games while you're learning how to code? And that was the sweet spot. So we knew we had something. Nearly every kid that we talked to about that wanted to at least try it or get involved with it. And so it kind of sprung from there. That was our early stages. And so on the flip side of that, if you ever have been, I kind of equate it to going to my experience with going through a Taekwondo dojo with my son. When I was in there, I went every single time, and I sat on the hard bench in the lobby there, and I watched him do the kicks, but I didn't know what one kick was compared to the other. It didn't look like he was getting any better necessarily. I mean, he memorized some stuff and whatnot, but I personally, as a parent, I didn't know what the progression was. I didn't know what the white belt kick looked better than the red belt kick or whatever it was. So I think it would have been better for the institution and for me as a parent to know this leads to that kick, and here's why those are important. And so when we did Code Ninjas, we really took a step back and said, yes, it's great that the kids can have fun, And that's our number one priority, because we want them to want to come to Code Ninjas. But the second high priority that we have is that the parents see the results and they understand how their kids are learning and progressing through the program, because they're paying the bill. At the end of the day, we have to make a system by which they can understand these are the fundamental building blocks of programming. Your kid is learning not only programming, but problem-solving skills and just a set of skills that are going to help them no matter what they go into in the future. And so that's our trademark. That's kids have fun and parents see results, and that's the bedrock of everything we do. So that's been super successful so far. If you look at our center and the people that come in, recently we did a poll of our students and parents. We got a 9.2 out of 10 on whether they would recommend it to a friend. That's very high if anybody knows those kind of ratings. We got perfect scores across the board for our lobby, or taking care of our parents in the lobby. The biggest thing that they could say is, sometimes even now, when you're explaining it to us, we don't still understand a few different points here and there, and we need to wrap back around. So I think that 1 out of 10 that we're still missing is probably doing a little bit better job of explaining it to the parents. And so we're going out and building new tools for parents portals and all kinds of stuff, so they can see exactly how the lesson that the kid worked on that day is affecting their total path through our program. So at the crux of it, our program, just to talk about the curriculum a little bit, is just from top to bottom, from white belt to black belt, is built so that we have a proprietary blend of tools from the internet and tools that we custom built. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel every place. We found really great tools out there and available. So we branded them, we licensed them, we took in their material and got it going, especially in the early parts. And then where we felt there were deficits, we built our own material. So everything that students use is going to be Code Ninjas branded. Everything they see, they won't know that they're using another person's tool necessarily, but there's still a familiarity with what they've already used in the past or learned at school maybe. For example, we still use Scratch, which is a very great tool for them to start learning early on, but we wrap it around a portal for them to get to it. So we've done some creative things to make it a very proprietary and very specifically ours. Every lesson that they go through is we built it from scratch. It's not something that we it's not something that's readily available. So they're a very important part of our program for our students and our franchisees. As a franchisee-focused organization, we want to make sure that we're giving you the tools and the items that make you unique, that make you stand out in the market. Our current center right now, yesterday we had 30 kids show up throughout the day. We're doing just crazy numbers at that center, and that's after a week of having a hurricane hit Houston. So what we're seeing is that people really can't get enough of what we're putting out there. The kids are loving it. The parents are digging what we're doing and seeing the results from the kids. So the curriculum is working. That said, it's never done. I just tell the curriculum team, just expect that you're going to have some job security here, because we are going to always be changing that curriculum to be up to date, to be a better way of doing it, to be more fun, to be more engaging, because I think that's the name of our game, right? Every year a new iPhone comes out. Well, the code that runs that iPhone is changing even more rapidly, believe it or not. So we have to keep that thing updated and changed and just make sure that we're staying on top of things. Some really cool stuff coming down the pipe. We have some robotics kits and robotics training coming. We have some integration with other platforms like Roblox, so we'll introduce new languages. Right now everything's built on top of JavaScript, so from a white belt to black belt, they only learn one language. We felt like adding some variety to that would be great, so we're adding in some Roblox lessons that teach them Lua, which is a proprietary language for Roblox, but it just gives them an idea, like, I know an if-then statement in JavaScript, and now I also know an if-then statement in Lua, and they're kind of the same thing. It's the same concept. It's just two different ways to write it. So it's great that they can see a breadth of knowledge there. And that brings up, you probably heard me say if-then statement, and some of you freaked out. I just want to make sure that you understand that, if a 7 to 10-year-old can learn this, it's relatively easy for an adult to go through the program ahead of them. And that's the best way that we've seen to train them, is that you guys actually go through the material and learn it too. And so it's not super hard for you guys to really learn this stuff. It's still pretty rudimentary. We're not producing like in my last business, we were producing professional software developers. That's not the name of the game here. It's really about problem-solving skills, about isolating the problem and moving to a solution. So, and using code to do that. So it's a little bit of a lower bar, but still, they're going to have some really great life-changing skills coming out of this program, and some cool video games. Hopefully, I would love to have a couple of people publish some video games and give themselves a little scholarship in high school. So going into college, excuse me. So the training behind this is robust. I want to talk a little bit about our support infrastructure. I think a lot of franchises start out with best of intentions. A mom and pop kind of had their own place, and they did well enough that their friends wanted to get in on it. So they said, "Oh, let me do a franchise here and do all the legal paperwork, and you guys can do it too." And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time though, they didn't even think about the support infrastructure that needs to go behind it. How are you going to train your franchisees? How are you going to support them ongoing? What happens when a student asks a question and nobody in the facility can answer that question? So at Code Ninjas, we started from the other way. We said we want to be a franchisee support company. We want to say from our foundation, our bedrock, we are going to be building all the tools, the text, the videos, the materials from day one. And so we started a year ago building these materials so that our franchisees one day would be successful in what they're doing. We have a set of videos that are going to be released very soon from Shauna, who is who's in charge of our franchisee support, and that's just a testament to what we're doing. We're putting out. It's going to be everything from interacting with parents, interacting with children, to the sales process, to how to resolve conflicts in the classroom. All these things that you probably kind of know, but we want to make sure that we have a message and a brand that's consistent across everywhere. So we're putting it on paper, putting it in videos. Code Ninjas University is about 33 different sections of multi-pages in each section, talking about just the same, everything from your opening to finding real estate to eventually selling your business, and if that's what you want to do. So we really put a lot of time and effort into building up the material so that you're successful at the base. But then, we said, nothing is going to be 100% comprehensive. We can't think of everything, every question that you guys are going to have. So we make sure that each one of you has a very specific point of contact. You know exactly who you can call in order to get that help. And right now that's going to be Shauna or one of the other support team members, but you have a designated person to pick up as a red phone kind of option to get those questions answered. That's where we are right here today. I mean, we're at the crux of what we're doing. We're focusing on supporting our franchisees. The growth for our company has been amazing. I think Marty and I would just kind of like shake our heads, because it's just like, at this point, you have a dream, you have a vision, and when it picks up, you're ecstatic about it. This is more than that. This is kind of becoming its own momentum now. We're not, having to convince people to join our company. We're actually picking and choosing the right franchisees to join our company, and that's a great place to be. And we really are enjoying that whole process now. We have been very fortunate. As Marty alluded to, we have 22 franchisees and about 46 franchise units sold to date. That growth rate, just to put it in perspective, is very vast. The last week or maybe this week I posted a LinkedIn post that showed a scale to where we're at in a normal franchise would take over 2 years. But we're plugging along and getting that done in the first 6 months. I think that's a testament and a validation to what we're doing, our message that we're putting out, and the timely need for children's coding in just the marketplace. And you guys see it, or you wouldn't be on the call. Our growth plans have changed a bit. We're going to try to hit 70 sold this year, and I think we're going to be able to hit about 20 to 25 open in the first quarter of next year. That's a dramatic increase from, if you've been on our calls every week, you'll see that that's a market increase from where we started these calls. And that's just, to go back to it, that's just a validation of, people seeing the vision, people seeing the dream and getting on board with it early. That's great. Our first centers should be opening up in November, outside of the state of Texas, that is, and we're excited to see it. As far as question and answers coming up, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I have about until noon, maybe a little bit longer, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We hear everything across the board on these calls. We've done this quite a few times now. I do want to preface this. I know most of you are in the back of your mind, you're kind of thinking, hey, how much money I can make. That's the number one question most people ask, especially on these calls. And I do want to preface this a little bit saying that there's federal regulations talking about top line, how much actual revenue. We can't talk really about anything outside of what's in the FDD. In the FDD, we had our first few months. We tried to, make it as comprehensive as possible. But it's just, we're still a new organization. And as Marty said, we understand that this isn't for everybody. We're well out of our pioneering phase and moving into our new growth phase, but still, we can't talk about, as it pertains to break even or a percentage of revenue or a percentage of your expenses or anything like that. But that's basically the only questions we can't answer. Everything else, I want you guys to know that these aren't canned responses or canned questions. We don't set people up to ask these questions. These are very, very natural and very organic questions. So if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. After I'm going to go ahead and turn on. If you have a question, you can ask your question by hitting *6. That's *6 on your phone, and get you in the queue. As those start lining up, Marty, I think might have had something real quick.
No, I just really wanted to touch on one thing while we have some people lining up to answer the questions. Is, we want to be able to answer those financial-based questions as much as we can, and we kind of prove that with doing a later renewal on our franchise disclosure document. We knew it was going to affect us in the short term, but we know in the long term that was going to be very helpful for us. So that's why you do see a part of our growth being pretty rapid over the last 90 days is, we had a delayed process because we really wanted to show the performance of our center as much as we could to put that information in what they call the item 19 in the federal disclosure document. So we knew it was going to be a short-term kind of stall for us, but we knew long-term that was going to benefit the overall picture of Code Ninjas. So one of the reasons why you see in April, May kind of a slower growth and then all of a sudden just this huge trajectory upward is because that's when we were going through our delayed FDD release, so we could get the item 19 into the FDD, which showed some of our financial performance.
And, rolling in, to elaborate on that, rolling into January when we redo the FDD for April, we'll have a much better, more comprehensive picture. I mean, if it was up to me and no laws out there stopping us, I would just show you our P&Ls. That seems like the most direct way to do it for you. But things being as they are, we have to do it by the rules. No questions in the queue. If you have something, *6 lets you ask a question. I must have done a fantastic job, Marty.
Yeah, this was wonderful.
Let's. Oh, there we go. There's one. I'll hit a few. I'll read a few questions from last week because some of these are kind of FAQ. Go ahead. Now we got quite a few. When you get on the call, and hi, if you could just tell me your first and last name and what city and state you're calling about.
Yeah, my name is Brian Lee. I'm calling from Fairfax, Virginia.
Cool. Hi, Brian.
Hey, nice to meet your acquaintance.
You too.
So yeah, I have a bunch of questions. So let me just pick a couple of things right now. I guess from the whole company history, were you guys initially very sold on just kind of being a franchise right from the start of your first center, or was that more of a kind of a process?
No, we started from day one. We knew that the expansion of our company, this being so timely and such a remarkable idea and plan, that we knew we wanted to be everywhere as quickly as possible, and really the only less capital intensive way, let's put it that way, to do that and to be the biggest player on the block was to go through franchising. And so one of my first hires when we started Code Ninjas was Marty, to bring him in to make sure we had that expertise in franchising from the get-go. Yeah, we started working on our support and training materials before we even had a center open.
Okay. Yeah, that's it's definitely I think it's great foresight on your on you guys' part. I would like to kind of see I guess how do you guys know, because how do you project the sales in different areas if you guys only have one currently, and if the area has a different amount of whatever different factors, income and stuff like that? How do you guys factor in with prices, or is that going to be lined up kind of across the board?
Yeah, so, that's a good point, and everything will vary to a small degree, everything from your expenses to your revenue, right? But what we're doing is we're picking and we're awarding territories in a very specific demographic model, so that we make sure that we keep those varying degrees as little as possible.
Okay, I see.
Was your question, Brian? Focused around how do you know what you can charge, or how much? Can you kind of elaborate on what you were? Did David hit that right, or were you asking more of a question on how do you know you can charge what you can charge in your area?
Yeah, more. Yeah, that. So.
Okay. Well. Yeah, so we give you a range based on the market research that we have done all over the country. We give you a range to work with that we suggest, and that range is anywhere from $150 a month for our monthly paying tuition students to up to $400 a month. And that range is because we want you to be able to adapt to your community, understand that cost and living changes are going to be a little bit different. So there's going to be some due diligence you're going to have to do on your side in terms of some research in your community, taking into consideration every program out there that can be tutoring focused, whether it be through a STEM program, whether it be through a coding camp, whether it be through music or swim schools or mathnasiums or Kumons like that. That will help you with understanding kind of where you fall in your marketplace. And also when you build your projection documents, this range is going to help you understand and give you some goals to shoot for inside your projection document.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. It's just, I think getting idea of what exactly the product can offer people. I know you compare it to Kumon, and I think it's relative there because I feel like you guys are offering a product that's a little more high end as far as skills go. But I wouldn't know what the pricing comparison would be.
You're going to find the price elasticity pretty quickly. I mean, it may take a little trial and error in the first few weeks, but I think it's just a little bit of working it out with your community. Posting a few times. We posted on Facebook in our local market, asking the moms what they thought a good price would be. We intentionally jacked up the price in our local market to see how far we could go, and eventually we stopped signing people up. So your market will bear differently than ours, and certainly California will bear different than Pearland, Texas, right? So it's a little bit of a trial and error there, like any business, right?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Some of that comes into your business plan that you're going to build. Even though it's a franchise, you still want to, take into consideration your specific market's business plan. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good.
Are those your questions? Is that it?
Yeah, sure.
Hello? Looks like we have someone from Houston asking a question. Hello? You might have put yourself on mute. Hello? Okay. Get back in the queue. It says your last four digits were 1498. So.
Hello, this is Jay from Virginia.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Hey, good. I was just curious what the staffing model looks like. What is your sort of ideal employee, and what is the target to pay, and how many?
Yeah, sure. So there's a few different roles, right? So let's just talk about those real quick. We have a director who is going to be the day-to-day manager and your salesperson. They're going to be the person who manages your staff as well, make sure the facility stays clean, and basically runs everything. That could be you. I mean, if you have a single unit, you may decide to be that person. And then secondarily, we recommend that you have some kind of key person, someone who has a key to the building that can, the hours get kind of long during the summer especially, so you don't want to be there from 8 to 8, so maybe you have another person that can open up for summer camps and that kind of thing. And it's just generally a good idea in case somebody's sick or anything to have another person that can open up. And that person kind of what happens there is they're going to play a hybrid role where if they have to fill in at the front desk or as an instructor, they can do both. And then you'll have your tutors in the classroom, which are typically going to be, anywhere from upper high school members to college students. That's typically what we're looking at there. And as far as the instructors go, we started out hiring people coming out of these coding boot camps like the one I used to own. And what happened was they stay for a couple of weeks, but they can go out and get a $70,000, $80,000 a year job. So why would they stick around for our $10 an hour? And so what we found was we went to the high schoolers and went to the robotics team, to the math team, to the chess club, the kids that I would have hung out with in high school, and just let them know about the opportunity. And it kind of grew like wildfire in our town. We're a town of about 200,000 people, and basically all the kids in that kind of group wanted to come work for us at that point. So at the beginning, we started out with 2 instructors, one being the key person and our director, and then we've grown that over time to have a bench. They don't all work at the same time. And I don't want you to think that we have a full-time staff of this many people, but we have a bench of about 12 people probably that come in and work anywhere from 5 to 20 hours a week, just to make sure that we have, comprehensive coverage when we need it. We keep a large bench. So we pay the tutors and helpers in the classroom $10 an hour. We pay the key person $12 an hour, and the manager director is somewhere in the 40 to 50 a year range. We use benefits and we give them benefits and everything. So we want that person to stick around.
Is there an ideal ratio as far as students to instructors?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this is a differentiator for us compared to our competition out there. We can get away with a higher ratio because all of our material is self-paced. So whether they're doing through the white belt material or doing a team exercise or going all the way to the black belt, they're doing it at their own pace. They're reading the material, going through, and just asking questions whenever they get stuck. So we think a solid number for both the summer camps, after school, for all the summer camps, the after-school program, and the drop-in program is about 10 to 1.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Hello, this is OC from Georgia, Atlanta.
Hi, how are you?
Good. This is my second attendance to this meeting, and from the past, the questions have really helped. I do have a few more questions related to the franchise aspect. I'm not too familiar with franchises or how different this will be from others out there. My questions are a couple. Is there usually a contract signed for this type of franchisor relationship, and how long is the contract, if there is?
There is a contract, and in the franchising world, that contract is called the franchise agreement. Okay, so our franchise agreement is for 5 years, and then you have options to renew that contract additionally, I think 2 times for 5 years each.
Okay, that makes sense. So during that's where the royalty, like how does the royalty work? Like in terms of how do you collect it? Is it the
Sure. Our system is a little unique. No,
go ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense. Our system is a little unique in that we have set up our coding. I mean, we're all big nerds over here, so we made sure we wanted that system and all the systems really to be as efficient and easy for everyone as possible. So the way our system works is the recurring payments and all the processing and everything, all that's taken care of for you. You just use the employee portal, put in the credit card information, and all of the payments are processed on your behalf. And when those payments are processed, we withhold our royalty and any fees that are associated with that payment. And then you get every Monday, which is another thing that's kind of unique about us, is that every Monday you'll get a deposit. Most franchises, your deposits come in maybe semi-monthly, a couple times a month, but for the most part, for example, in my experience was we got one payment a month. So we try to get you the cash flowing as quickly as possible. Make sure you're on a consistent basis. Every Monday you'll get a deposit into your account that is going to be kind of the net of whatever if you charge the $1, you'll end up with 87 cents or something after transaction fees and things and royalties.
Okay, let me make sure I understand it. So the the customers, the parents and the students, they pay directly to the franchisor, and then you withhold the royalty. And then you make the weekly payment?
Yeah, so technically how it works is we have a very unique system where it divides that transaction at the time of transaction. So they're actually paying you and we're withholding it all at the same time. Got
it. Okay. Yeah. All right, one more question. In terms of the building, I understand the building will be constructed a certain way where you would help locate, advise on the best location and all that good stuff. Is the franchisee responsible for the lease payment for that, or is?
Yes.
I'm thinking yes, but I just want to make sure.
Oh, yeah. So, yes,
okay.
Absolutely. So this is your business. All the expenses associated with your establishment are going to be up to you and in your name and your company's name, probably.
Okay. Got it. So the bills, the lease, everything. All right.
Yes.
And And did you mention, like, for the managers and franchisee managers, you give them benefits and salary of certain amount, or is the owner of that franchisor supposed to do that? I'm not sure.
So we corporately, we own, locations. So in our locations, the director gets a salary and the director gets benefits. For your location, you will pay your manager and you will pay them benefits if you choose to. I mean, it's completely up to you. It's your business.
Got it. Okay, so the corporate is you and then us. Okay, I thought I heard that.
We give you the template, right? We give you the template. We give you how we've done it, how it's been successful for other franchisees in the past, and then you have to go and replicate that in every way possible.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. I think that answers all my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dylan Besk. I'm in Sacramento, California, although that's not the market that I want to develop a business in. I'm comfortable with the pedagogy aspect, having been a teacher for a couple decades and having learned coding myself and taught it to preteens and teens. But I'm really a newbie when it comes to actually running a business. And, I've developed a bit of a business plan and have done some preliminary work. But for someone that's not in the business realm, who's primarily a teacher right now, what supports are available in terms of getting me started with financing, with payroll, with taxes, with a business plan, marketing, and so on?
Yeah, Dylan, that's a great question. I think you are the person that should be in franchising. I mean, of all the people, I think you're the first person that should look for, if you're really trying to be an entrepreneur and this is your first time stepping out, I mean, franchising gives you that leverage where you can benefit from the experience and know-how of people who have done it before, but you still kind of sit in your sweet spot of being a teacher, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds, and that's where it comes back to the support infrastructure where we started on day one. Everything you just mentioned about how to get financing, how to set up everything, that's still part of the before you sign process, by the way. So getting financing is going to go through one of our preferred vendors. It's a matter of a few phone calls and a few sheets of paper to get you pre-approved, and that's a pretty simple process at this point. There's a lot of tons and tons and tons of options there, everything from an SBA to an IRA rollover to I'm not that guy, just to be honest with you, but they have tons of options. But I think you're hitting on a great point. Is the reason you get into a franchise is because you don't know all those things. And you still want to be an entrepreneur. That's where we come in. That's where the franchise support comes in. That's where we can fill in those blanks for you. Marty, did you want to elaborate on that?
No, I just think that when you think about becoming a part of a franchise, it's really about looking at the company as a whole and looking at what you're getting into. So when you think about where you're at and what you in the position that you're in, we want all of our franchisees to consider, our prospective franchisees to consider three main points, which is the business model, in our case, the curriculum, which is product, and then the business ethics and experience of the franchise. So when you're looking at teaming up with us, I mean, this is a long-term relationship. This is a big deal. This is not just buying a pair of shoes or buying a car. I mean, this is a big deal. So we want to make sure that you fully understand where we're coming from and what we're about. So when you hear us talk about all these great details, we talk about our business model. Can our business model stand alone, which means what we're asking for you to be able to do inside of your Code Ninjas, which is that monthly paying tuition students, the revenue sources like camps and parents' night out. We have the luxury, and because of David's hard work, we have the opportunity to have not only what is working out there, which is a camp-based model, we also have this monthly paying tuition model, which spoon feeds our kids and compounds their skills on top of one another as they work their way through all 9 of our belts, which takes up to 4 years. So not only do we have this camp setting, we have this monthly paying tuition setting. So our business model and then our product, our curriculum, that proprietary blend of curriculum of the best programs on the marketplace to teach kids how to code through playing games, combined with our own curriculum that teaches kids how to code through playing games, and bringing that together and then having textbooks that go along with it, really allow our product and our curriculum to stand alone. It's not a licensed product, so somebody can't open up across the street from you. They can't use the same textbooks across the street from you. It's a proprietary blend. So we really have a product, our curriculum, that could stand by itself if it needed to be. And then think of the business model and ethics. And one of the best examples is going to be, look at we didn't even have to think about what we could do for Houston. It was a natural reaction for us to immediately get involved in our community, to immediately try to make an impact. And I think Code Ninjas was like, as the hurricane was passing through, David's like, I'm setting up a fund as the hurricane's approaching. And it was like we were being so proactive about what we wanted to do as a company that it really showed our ethics, but our drive to move forward as well. So, and our experience in franchising and being an entrepreneur, Jeff Thames and I have been working together for going on 14 years in franchising, literally have onboarded over 2,000 franchisees from all different walks of life. That experience, those tools coming to the table for somebody like yourself is extremely valuable in connecting you with franchisees all over the country to collaborate. So those 3 things, take a close look at: business model, our curriculum, and our business ethics. You dive into those 3, I'm sure you're going to be joining that 22, 24 franchisees that we currently have. The more you dig in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, so I just have a couple of questions. As far as one is the process, the application process, and how are locations determined as far as, I guess you call them units? How many units do you have within proximity or within a city?
Sure. So what's your name?
David Lee.
Okay.
I'm in Houston.
Oh, okay, Houston, and you would look to put these in Houston or the surrounding?
No, I'm looking outside of Houston, but still within Texas.
Okay, cool. All right. So to answer your question, you have protected territories. So we do a demographic analysis. We work with Morrow Hill, and we use a few tools online to find real estate in territories that are interesting to you. Typically, they're going to be affluent areas making over $70,000 a year median income, with roughly 5,000 kids in our age range. That's a minimum kind of scenario. I mean, the ones we're finding right now, and as an early adopter, being in the top 50, probably you're going to be able to really cherry pick the best markets, and that's the benefit of being early, right?
Right.
So when we say we have protected territories, let's explain that just a little bit. Most franchises, if you have a 3-mile radius, 3.1 miles, somebody can open up. So you kind of have a crisscross, and you're fighting for the same students. That doesn't make any sense in our model. We set up our organization where we just want to have breadth of coverage of students. It doesn't make any sense for us to pack you in like sardines, because we have a percentage-based royalty, and so we just want to make sure that, in the Houston market, for example, we have enough dots to get all the kids in Houston, right? I mean, and that behooves you as a franchisee. I think it puts us both on the same side of the table. We don't have a vested interest in putting another franchisee right next door to you or something. It's in our best interest to make sure you're spaced out evenly to support the community.
Right.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. So as far as like the application process or getting started in furthering this conversation on how to say, for instance, my idea where I would like my location to be, what is the next steps?
Yeah, Marty?
Yeah, so David, basically what you would do is you would go to our, you can email me, and I can definitely help you out and either connect you with Jeff Thames or myself. We will set a time with you to discuss where you want to be at, and then you and I would work together, or you and one of us would work with you to find the area, the secure area where you want to be at, and we just kind of start the conversation and be sure that we can answer all your questions and go in detail as to where you would like. And maybe since you're in Houston, even attending one of our Discovery Days, which you're obviously more than welcome to come to, but we can really narrow down your territory pretty quickly, and give you the inside demographics of what we do with our franchise.
You guys are pretty close by, so I was actually even thinking about just coming by afterwards, sometime this afternoon if anyone's available to talk.
We have a Discovery Day. Our Discovery Day is next Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's talk about what your schedule looks like. It really kind of, honestly, we just want to provide you with the tools to help you make the decision and go through this process. And depending upon what you're looking for, depending upon what you need, the Discovery Day is a lot of shared information that we allow you to dive into. But obviously, being the CEO is right there in town, David Graham. He does take meetings with people, so we can, with interested parties, so we can definitely arrange that also.
And David, not to just say no. Typically, everybody's time is valuable, and I don't want to waste anybody's time. So I'm not the right person to meet with at your stage, I believe. I think you need to really learn a lot about what we're doing and kind of be at a commitment level that where you want to move forward before you come meet with me and go through everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, my thought process is, I have ideas of locations, and without talking to one of you guys just to see if that's one of your protected territories already, right? Because there's certain demographic areas that I think would be great, and again, it's outside of Houston, but that's just something I want to just get off. Discuss up front to see if it's even an option.
Today. Yeah, sure. Well, let's talk today for sure.
That's solidly in Marty and Jeff's court. Yeah, that's your next step.
Sure. Yeah, if it's out of those locations, then this might not be something that I can or I can't do. So, like I said, it was just something to see if this could even be further discussed with. But
that sounds great.
Yep.
All right, David. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Henry. I'm based in San Diego, California. Thanks for the time, guys. I think nice exchange. I have one question related to as I do some research on this space, which I am very bullish on as far as programming and coding for kids and where the trends are going, is versus other similar entities out there. What do you consider your main competitive advantages? Where do you see yourselves differentiating the most? If you could summarize it maybe in 3 bullets.
Sure, I can give you a couple of those, but it does help to know who you're talking about specifically.
It really was a general question, so I don't really know.
Okay. Then generally speaking, I think our differentiators are going to be the level of support you're going to get on the front end and the back end of our organization. We've thought through the sales process. We've thought through operations on the ground. We've written them all down. You have processes that you can train your staff on, your manager, and then you can replicate that easily so that you can start making some real money. On the back end, we've worked in so many different franchises over the years. We know what it takes to be an administrator of a franchise and to grow our company appropriately and scale our support and staff as we grow. That's one major differentiator. Another major differentiator is going to be our curriculum. I don't think any of our competition has got a proprietary blend of curriculum. They kind of take just things off the shelf and use them. We've built ours to be very specifically a Code Ninjas branded material set. and a world-class curriculum at that. I think those two things by themselves would make it a great organization to work with. Excuse me. The third, I would say, major differentiator is the professionalism that you're going to get from our organization is a little bit different. We're not mom and pops. We started as an organization to be big and the best in the world. I think that goes a long way. But we still, at the end of the day, are fun and easy to talk to people. We're going to be spending a lot of time together, right? So it's important that we keep our relationships fun and exciting, and everybody enjoys working together. And I think you're going to find that on my team.
That's excellent. And if I could just follow up on that, on the curriculum itself, obviously technology changes quite fast. I myself come from a technology background. Do you have, I would think you do a kind of snapshot of the current curriculum and a roadmap or vision of how that will evolve in the context of obviously the kid range that we're talking about, but also considering trends, right, in the marketplace. So if a child goes through the program for, say, several years of some success, they could be better equipped as they get into their teen years, and parents can see that value. Because that would be a really nice story, right? It's like, hey, you go through this program, and computer science and programming and different versions of programming pretty much guarantees not just a job, but also, entrepreneurs like yourself, right? And many others. I think that message, especially with parents that don't have a good grasp of technology, that could resonate well, where they could incentivize the kids to really go for this, right? Or influence them at least.
So I like to say we're not a curriculum company. We're more than that, but our curriculum is at our core, and it's a vital part of what we're doing. We have an entire team dedicated to doing nothing but building and accelerating that curriculum in the right directions to stay on the forefront of technology. Additionally, what we're seeing in the marketplace is that, not the marketplace, from our franchisees, is that they're having some really great ideas, and we welcome that communication channel with our franchisees. Let me give you an example I used last week. Is the guys up in North Carolina were really into 3D printing, and they said, Dave, can you develop internally a 3D printing curriculum? And I said, well, we could, but let's stick to what we're good at, doing coding and just really in our realm. And he said, well, we're really interested. Why don't we take a couple of hours and look at something that we could do in a summer camp style setting, because I think this is going to be something important. And so what we did was we came together and we found some curriculums online that we're going to start testing from one of the manufacturers, actually, of a very popular 3D printer. So all these ideas are percolating from different areas as far as the path and the journey that we go along. It's going to change, but we definitely have a roadmap in mind right now. That whether that map changes, obviously, is going to have to change as technology does.
Right. So, and David, thanks for that. And one more, point more specific to the team, right? So, I know Marty comes from a very strong franchise background, and you yourself have been a serial entrepreneur for many years. You've built and sold businesses throughout. Is Code Ninja falling? Is there an exit here that you're looking to, from a company standpoint, or you're looking to scale to some point? Or are you going to stick around for a while here, or is this one more company that you're looking to
as a
jump on the next thing?
No, I get it. As a serial entrepreneur, I get this a lot, right? I think one of the things that most people are afraid of is that I just bail and then the company has no leadership. So I want to put that to rest, that everybody here has a second. We always have a backup in our organization. If I was we call it the hit by the bus rule. If I get, taken out of this equation, whether that's a sale or, hit by a bus, this company is going to thrive. It's much bigger than David Graham. secondarily, my plan is not to sell this for a very long time. This is as a guy that has great ideas every morning before breakfast. I'm that kind of guy. I think this is the best idea I've ever had, and the best vision that I've ever had, the best team that I've ever put together, and I just the most excitement that has existed in one of my organizations. So I don't foresee me leaving for a very, very long time. But, you know, we may take on minority investors and things like that along the road, and see, especially when we're trying to go international and that kind of things. It makes sense as a strategy.
Very good. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for the questions. Only one more question in the queue here. If you have one, you can raise your hand by hitting *6, and it puts you in the queue, and I can get you next. So, hi. Hello. I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm
Hi.
Sean Weiberg from Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Hi.
Hi. I wanted to ask about the curriculum. What do you do if somebody who comes in at 13 and 14, starts at a white belt and wants to keep going once they've aged out?
They're allowed to stay. Those ages are just a guideline, more than anything. There's no aging out. As long as they're, you know, respectful, they don't cause any problems with the younger kids, there's no reason not to, you know, keep them on board. And in fact, they're probably more mature at that point, hopefully. And you can help get them to start helping within the facility, right?
Sure. And how do the team exercises work?
You know, for the most part, we encourage team exercises throughout, by a lot, because when the games get more and more advanced, it's hard to create, you know, 3D modeled games and be the renderer and do the meshes and things like that. But if you have that isolated student that wants to do it all on his own, they're allowed to do that as well. So it's a little bit more less forced and more just if you'd like to do it as a team, you're welcome to, kind of thing.
Do the students show up with their own laptops, or do you have desktops there? What equipment do they need?
So it's yes to both. We have laptops there they can rent for $25 a month, and an additional charge, or they can buy one we call Ninja Books from us. At the franchisees get those for $230 right now. It's not a fixed price, so it could change, but right now they're $230, and we sell them for $269 in our centers. Or the students, about 10 to 15% of our students bring their own laptop, especially if they're a big gamer already. They probably already have one.
They can only access the curriculum when they're on site? That's
correct. Okay. The curriculum is a set of books, so the books never leave the center.
I see. Well, that helps to know.
Yeah.
And what do you think are going to be your biggest challenges over the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, the curriculum staying up to date is always going to be at the forefront of our mind. I don't think that's a particular challenge other than the fact that it changes so quickly. You know, the other challenges are going to be how do we add products and classes and materials that are needed across a large spectrum of geographic locations. Some of that's going to be coming into play, especially as we go international. We're going to have some translation issues, obviously, and things like that. So picking the right partners and right master franchisees is going to be important. But systemically, I don't see any real issues that are going to be showstoppers.
You're not concerned about how much free education is available? And
free education has been available since the internet, right? There's a reason that people don't go online to teach their kids how to code, and that's because they don't know how to teach them how to code. You could have gone to Treehouse, or they could go to Khan Academy for absolutely $0, more than, nothing more than your internet fee. They know that the material is out there. They know that they can do it, and maybe they've heard of Scratch or Khan Academy before, but they don't know how to bridge those gaps and make it into a comprehensive curriculum that gets them to the goal, right? So there's always going to be a need for people of knowledge, people of training to help those without. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Have you found that there's a certain length of time that people test it out and then leave? Or are the people who enrolled in the beginning still in the program?
We have a very low attrition rate. I can't tell you exactly what that attrition rate is because that would allude to how many students we are, and you're going to get to our top line. But very less than 5% or have left thus far.
Okay. And I saw something about prepaying. How many months do people prepay in advance? What do you ask?
We have a few different options. So they can do monthly. If they give us a month-to-month, it's going to be $225 a month. If they just say, I want no commitment and I just want to go month-to-month, cancel it any time, we say that's $225 a month. If they say, okay, I'm committing to 6 months, we go down to $199 a month. And then if they say, I'll commit to 12 months, we go to $188 a month. And that's still a monthly charge. Now, if they take that 6-month plan and they pay it in full, they pay for the full 6 months up front, we do that for $999. That is by far our most popular package, actually. People pick that, and that gets them down to about a $160. I don't know the math off the top of my head, but somewhere about $160 a month. But you get all that cash up front, so for cash flow purposes, it's pretty sweet. And then those people in that 6-month plan that paid in full roll into a month-to-month plan after they're done, unless they sign up again in a paid in full. So then the 12-month, I believe it's $1,800 a month, something like that, if they pay it up front. And we have people come in and put all 3 of their kids in and go the 12-month package for 3 kids. So in affluent areas, people see the vision, they see that it's needed, and they know their kids are going to enjoy it, so they just write the check. Or not check, actually, they don't accept checks, but they go ahead and spend it.
Okay. And then one more, if I can. I don't want to keep other people out. But so you said that you assign territories and you have certain expectations based on the income and the family sizes in that area. Do you have an expected enrollment percentage? Like how many kids do you think you'll enroll per amount of families in an area?
Yeah, that's not something that I can tell you. That's directly talking about your top line, unfortunately. That's something that you're going to have to do an evaluation of your market and assess for yourself.
But you've built your model about where you'll assign territories based on that expectation.
Yeah, I can tell you I can know it, but I just can't tell it to you, unfortunately. That's one of those things. We did model it after a very specific demographic base, but I can't tell you how that converts into dollars for you.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. I got one more question here. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day after this one. Go ahead, though.
Hey, this is Brian again. Thanks for taking the question.
Sure.
This is just going to be a little more techie question. You guys said your curriculum was proprietary. Exactly from a technical standpoint, is it like a web-based thing? Is it something that you guys pull together from different websites that are somehow incorporated into one? Or where does the proprietary come in?
That's a great question. So all of our curriculum is a set of books. So we initially thought about putting it online, but there's a few different technical challenges with doing that, believe it or not, because the kids only have their laptop and they don't have an extra screen. It's hard for them to read the curriculum at the same time they're doing the curriculum. Additionally, it's hard for us to monitor if somebody's stealing our curriculum that way. So we decided on a set of textbooks that are going to be in the classroom for each belt level. So there's 9 different textbooks, plus some for the summer camps as well. And so that's how our curriculum is. I mean, it's literally our IP, our graphic design, our games that the kids are building, using various different platforms. And so, we may use the Scratch platform because kids are familiar with that at White Belt, but then they move on to our game development platform in Yellow Belt, for example. Later on, we'll have games that they have to build in Roblox or customizations that they make to Minecraft, but those are still our proprietary customizations and our packages that we put together.
Okay. So it's like a combination of kind of something based off of a platform, but it's also, is it any way technical to say like we have proprietary software that nobody else can kind of like just copy up and duplicate sort of thing?
I'm not sure. We do have our game development platform, so we have built our own web-based platform that is very much only ours. So you would have to rebuild that from scratch, but we didn't feel like that was necessarily the only tool that we need to expose them to. So we went out and found the tools that they're already kind of interested in. All of their friends play Roblox, so why would we want to go and rebuild Roblox, right? So let's just give them the tools that they need to build better games and more robust games to understand what they're actually doing instead of just making a whole bunch of clicks to make something happen, to understand what they're fundamentally doing. So our objective isn't to teach them a tool. Our objective is to teach them how to think. So, whether it's our tool or somebody else's tool, our curriculum is proprietary in that the games that they're building, the material that they're learning, the keywords that we call out, and the order that we go is all ours. But the tool that we use to do it is not necessarily, our technology. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And eventually we're going to be getting to using a tool called Unity, which is highly flexible, so they can basically build any game that they can dream up. So there's little need there. I mean, we would never want to rebuild something like Unity or something like that. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the Q&A session now. I've got to get to another meeting, but I do want to, talk about next steps. We touched on it a little bit earlier. If you haven't talked to Marty or Jeff or gotten into our program, talking to one of our franchise development members, you need to do that. So Marty is the person to contact, Marty @codeninjas.com, and he can get you set up with himself or Jeff as your point of contact. The next steps from here, if you've already been in touch with one of them, is more than likely to get to a Discovery Day event. Around here we call that day Decision Day, because that's really where all these questions are going to come together. You're going to meet like-minded people that are joining our organization. Some people decide to go ahead and sign their franchise agreement and area development agreements on the spot and get going at Discovery Day. That's what we ideally like, because then you can meet the whole team and we can talk about next steps with you together. And if you want to do that, then what you need to do now is think about what cross streets you like in your territory that you're thinking about. So just find a cross street intersection that's going to be the central point for your territory. One is great, but the territory, the retail establishments around there might not work. So go ahead and pick 2 or 3 different cross streets that'll work for you with retail establishments around it that would work. And then we can start putting paperwork together and moving forward into Discovery Day. If you want to come to this Discovery Day, you're pretty much at the deadline. You'd be hard-pressed to get tickets and everything if you wait too much longer. So it is on Thursday. We do still have some space available. We kind of, the last 2 filled up completely. We couldn't have hosted a single person more. But due to the hurricane and things, we kind of pulled back on the reins on getting people set up. But now that we know we're safe and sound, that everything is going to go the way we want it to, we're going to go ahead and open that up. Houston's back open for business, as the mayor said. So if you want to get in on that, you need to get with Marty. It's going to be on Thursday. Some people will lay over till Friday and visit the center and do a few things with us for a couple of days, but Thursday is the only required discovery day. Get in touch with him, make those next steps. At this point, it's going to be in your court, right? I mean, we're not going to harass you. We're not going to bring you in. We're not going to try to reel you in. We really want people that want to be in our vision, that want to do our program, that want to build an organization that's going to be a game changer for kids and franchisees alike. So take those next steps and reach out to our company, and we'll be there to support you. Thanks a lot for your time today. I know your time is valuable. You hung through the whole call, so I appreciate that. Take care, guys.